Welcome back to Beyond Wisdom, where we explore timeless truths for a more peaceful and meaningful life. Many people today feel like something is missing. Even with endless entertainment, constant connection, and more material comfort than ever, there's a quiet emptiness that lingers. It shows up in our restless scrolling, in the way time slips by unnoticed, in the loneliness we feel even in a crowd. But this isn't a new problem. The Stoic philosophers of ancient Rome saw the same patterns in human nature, and they left behind wisdom that speaks directly to this modern ache. Seneca once wrote, "You must withdraw into yourself. Trust me, you will find no resting place more peaceful, more free from care than your own soul." But in modern life, how often do we enter that space? The world today is built to keep us stimulated, always checking, always reacting, always moving to the next thing. Notifications light up our devices like signals from a never-sleeping world. News cycles churn endlessly. Even silence is filled with noise. But what the Stoics understood is that the soul doesn't grow in chaos. It grows in stillness. Emptiness creeps in when we lose touch with our inner life. When we stop hearing our own thoughts and instead become a mirror for the world's distractions. Stoicism teaches that peace isn't found outside, but by tuning back into the quiet center within us. It isn't flashy, and it won't reward us with likes or applause. But that space, undisturbed and unhurried, is where meaning begins to take root. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." In modern times, we're taught, often without words, that happiness lies in achievement, wealth, image, or control. So we chase more goals, more experiences, more status. But when we get them, they rarely fill the space we expected. Instead, there's a strange deflation, like eating food that never satisfies. The Stoics warned us about this long ago. They taught that anything outside of our control, fame, fortune, other people's opinions, is not where real fulfillment lies. These things are temporary. What truly satisfies, they said, is living in alignment with virtue, being honest, courageous, patient, and wise. It may sound simple, but in a world that rewards appearances over depth, this path is radical, because it asks us to stop chasing what shines and start building what lasts. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote to himself, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors. Be attentive to the present." That was over 1,800 years ago, and yet it feels like a message written for us now. One of the reasons modern life feels hollow is because we rarely live where we are. We relive the past, fear the future, and scroll through lives we're not living. The Stoics believed the present moment is sacred, not because it's exciting, but because it's real. This breath, this task, this conversation, they are what's truly ours. When we drift too far into the imaginary world of what could be, we lose touch with what is. That detachment from the now breeds emptiness, but presence, full, quiet, rooted presence, plants us back in the ground of life. Today, freedom is often seen as the ability to do whatever we want, travel where we please, buy what we like, say what we feel. But the Stoics saw freedom differently. To them, true freedom was inner mastery. It meant not being ruled by anger, desire, fear, or ego. It meant choosing our response instead of being dragged by reaction. Epictetus, born a slave, taught that even those with no external liberty could still be completely free if they mastered themselves. Contrast that with modern life, where many are outwardly free, yet inwardly imprisoned by impulses, comparisons, and fear of judgment. Stoicism flips the script. It asks, who is freer, the person who needs nothing, or the one who constantly needs more? The one who controls their mind, or the one ruled by it? The modern emptiness we feel often comes from this mistaken idea of freedom, chasing a kind that the Stoics knew would never satisfy. There's a quiet belief in modern life that says, if we're suffering, something is wrong. That pain must be a sign of failure, that discomfort should be eliminated. But the Stoics saw suffering not as a punishment, but as a teacher. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that hardship is part of nature, and Epictetus compared life to a wrestling match, not meant to be clean or easy, but something we're trained for. When we expect life to be smooth, every bump feels like despair. But if we accept that pain is part of the path, it becomes less terrifying. Modern emptiness often comes from this subtle fear that life should be comfortable, and if it's not, we're doing it wrong. But the Stoics offer something different. Resilience through reality. Peace not in avoiding pain, but in walking through it with dignity. Everything now is designed for speed. Quick decisions, fast updates, instant results, but the soul doesn't move at that pace. Ancient Stoic writings weren't meant to be skimmed. They were meant to be copied by hand, reflected on for days, lived out slowly. And, life itself, if we want it to feel full, really requires slowness. Friendship takes time. Character takes repetition. Joy comes in moments that unfold gently, not in flashes that disappear. When everything is fast, everything starts to feel thin. That's where the emptiness creeps in, not because life lacks meaning, but because we're moving too fast to feel it. The Stoics invite us to slow down, not to do less, but to do with attention, to live, not just perform living. The Stoics believed that virtue, not success, not happiness, not comfort, was the highest goal. Virtue meant living with wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. These were not abstract ideals. They were daily practices. And, unlike money or fame, no one could take them away. In modern life, many foundations we build on are shaky. Careers can vanish. Relationships change. Trends fade. But virtue stays. It shapes how we suffer, how we love, how we speak. It gives life texture and depth, even when circumstances are difficult. Stoicism reminds us that an empty life isn't fixed by adding more. It's healed by anchoring deeper. When we live from virtue, we stop chasing worth and start creating it from the inside out. The quiet emptiness many feel today isn't a failure. It's a signal that something deeper is calling to be remembered. The Stoics, with their calm and disciplined wisdom, left us a map, not just to survive, but to live with presence, purpose, and peace. The world around us may be loud and fast and uncertain, but the soul doesn't need any of that. It needs truth. It needs silence. It needs the steady fire of a life lived with intention. What's one Stoic idea you feel drawn to live out? Not just understand, but truly practice. Share it in the comments. Your insight might be what someone else needs to hear. Thanks for watching. If this video brought you value, subscribe to Beyond Wisdom. Until next time, stay calm, stay strong, and stay wise.